May at the end of the year. Some call it May-Sember. If you're a school parent, you think, oh man, how many things do we have planned in May? But what I encourage you to do, maybe similar to what I did last night, is actually look at the summer and say, here are the blocks that we need to take advantage of for family. Here are some open times. Oh yeah, I need to work a little bit in the midst of that. How can I plan ahead for some things? And what I want you to be feeling and experiencing at the end of this episode is that you have a roadmap and you have some questions to actually maximize the summer for its greatest impact. Let's get started. We get it. You're busy. You want to grow and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey. Last night, I had a calendar out and it was on my bed, and I'm looking in my phone calendar and I'm looking at this big calendar and I'm going, man, the summer is almost here, and man, the summer is short. Time is our precious resource. We only have so much of it. If you're a parent, you're probably thinking, I only have so many summers until my kid is out of the house. Time is so precious. And here's what I find. Summer is one of the greatest opportunities we have. And yet, summer can be wasted. If we don't plan it, it will plan us. First of all, you look and there's a couple of months, your kids are off school, you have the opportunity to travel, the world kind of opens up for you. Maybe there's less expectations in work, but if you're not ready for it, friend, the summer will go by that fast. For you, for me, for any of us, guys, time is so precious. So as we look at this summer, what we want to do in this episode is actually to zoom out on 4 different areas. I believe that these 4 areas are crucial for leaders. The summer is an amazing time. Don't let it slip by. But sometimes we can get a little overwhelmed. I think I have to do all the things. I have to do the cookouts. We got to do these big family adventures and maybe some weekend getaways. I've got to get outside and have barbecues with friends and take advantage of this time. And sometimes the overwhelm of summer can actually be greater than the overwhelm of the other 9 or 10 months out of the year. What I want to help you do now and in an accompanying guide are give you 4 keys for these 4 areas to actually maximize the summer. We've actually got questions for you as well, because believe it or not, it's May and the summer is right around the corner. For some of you, you still have 6 weeks or so. For some of you, like myself, the summer is literally just a couple of weeks away as our kids are about to head out of school. I know, first of all, that May can be exhausting. May at the end of the year, some call it May-Sember. If you're a school parent, you think, oh man, how many things do we have planned in May? But what I encourage you to do, maybe similar to what I did last night, is actually look at the summer and say, here are the blocks that we need to take advantage of for family. Here are some open times. Oh yeah, I need to work a little bit in the midst of that. How can I plan ahead for some things? And what I want you to be feeling and experiencing at the end of this episode is that you have a roadmap and you have some questions to actually maximize the summer for its greatest impact. Let's get started. First area that we're talking about is space. Space. Now, this is that unplanned time for you to do, honestly, whatever. For some of you, this is sitting on the front porch. For others, this is getting in your kayak. For some, you're saying, I'm going to go out to my favorite restaurant with friends. Some of you love barbecuing and you're going to get the Traeger out. I don't really care what this unplanned time is, but it literally has to be unplanned. We need extra space. Now, maybe you've been feeling really pressed by family, work, or both in this last season. And here's the irony about unplanned space and time. It will not happen unless you plan it. That's what I believe about leaders, is that we fill spots in our schedule. People ask for things from us that unless we actually put it on our calendar, and you literally may block 3 hours on the second half of your Friday for unplanned time and space. Maybe for you, it's best in the evenings. A lot of people do like a half day Friday or end up getting out of work early But a lot of times my fear is that they just head home and maybe scroll on their phones or get sucked into other tasks instead of actually taking that time and space for what they need. So here's the question for space is when will you plan empty space in your life? Again, accept that great irony of planning unplanned time, but when will you plan this extra time and space in your life? The second area you need in order to maximize the summer is replenishment. Now, this goes along with all those great R words of refresh and recharge and replenish, all these re words, because you may have gotten really worn down. So while space can give you the ability to have some spontaneity and just kind of see what happens if you've been too tightly scheduled, replenishment exists when we realize there's something that has gotten low in my life. The question is this: how do you replenish? What are the activities that allow that energy to bubble back up and recharge for you? So, a couple of visual aids here. I love cooking, but sometimes I forget that in the midst of life. When life's really busy, food kind of just turns into a necessity. We throw in some food in the air fryer, quickly broil something to make sure that we've got healthy food for our family. So, I love a book like this, Platters and Boards. If you come to my house, especially my fire pit, we're going to have charcuterie. We're going to have some meat cooked on the fire. We're going to have some vegetables that I've marinated. This is just something that I love to do. And so I'll open up this book and I'll probably find a couple of recipes that I just want to try out on folks this summer. Secondly, I love the outdoors. And so I am going to hit off maybe 4 or 6 little mini adventures this summer. And so I've got kind of a jungly canoe trip planned for one day. I've got some peak climbs that I'm thinking about. I'm going to get in my pack raft, my inflatable kayak. I'm going to do some fly fishing, hopefully get up to a mountain lake or two and do some fishing up there. And those are things that I love to do, whether my family's with me or I'm alone or with friends. That is replenishing for me. The question is, what is replenishing for you? Again, here's the reminder. If you don't plan the space for replenishment, it won't just sneak up on you. And for some of you, you want to go out and do an adventure like me, or you want to host people like me. For some of you, you say, that is not my jam. I actually need to be by myself because I'm an introvert, or I need to have more of that unplanned space in my life. For some of you, it looks like staying home, and that's the place you really, really replenish. For others, you can't really replenish at home because you always have tasks to do. So you need to get out with the family or get out with the friends somewhere else. For some of you, you love golf and it's been too cold and too rainy for golf, and it is your time and your season. Whatever that is for you, make sure that you plan those spaces of replenishment. So here's your question on replenishment. What activities help you recharge? And secondly, when will you plan those times in? I mean, blocks in your calendar where nothing else is going to take those on. Check with your spouse. Make sure it works with the family. Make sure to plan those in. And by the way, you don't have to spend a ton of money and you don't have to get on a plane to be able to do these things. I think most replenishing activities in our lives can happen at home. And in fact, many times when we plan activities that we have to get on a plane, we have to go somewhere with our family, we have to spend a lot of money, often those are for the next category that I'm going to talk about, which is relational time. Relational time is reconnection with friends or family. Now, you don't have kids, or maybe your kids are so young that you're like, actually, we are not going to, they're 1 or 2 years old, and it's going to be very different from if they're teenagers and you're really seizing those moments together. It's going to look different for all of us. But the 2 areas that leaders need are to reconnect back with their family and to reconnect back with their friends. Life just gets in the way sometimes, right? Work just gets in the way sometimes. And this reconnection zone, summer is amazing for this. I love long evenings. I love watching the sunset and just kind of slowly, whether it's kids playing together in our neighborhood or having people over in my front yard or backyard, just having a happy hour or drinks with friends or neighbors. Summer is incredible for this. So don't miss this opportunity to reconnect. I mentioned leaving work early. I would highly encourage you to try to compress your workday so that you have large chunks of time. If you could get off a little earlier, maybe at 3 o'clock, it's almost like you have a work day each day and a family day or a day for friends. What I find is that when we plan really, really well, then our friend time actually doesn't bother the family too much. I'm not saying go every day and play a round of 18 holes of golf. That's probably not the best. Or try to go fly fishing every single weekend. That may not be realistic. And actually, that may fight against your family. So there's always going to be a tension, I believe, between time with friends and time with family. But talk through that with your spouse ahead of time. Have conversations about what this looks like. Maybe block off a few days that you need to be able to get that friend trip. And maybe it's a girls' trip, you're going to Austin, or maybe it's something in the wilderness with your guy friends, or again, several rounds of golf that you can plan together. Doesn't really matter what it is. This replenishment space is really, really key for you personally. But what I want to encourage you to do is not forget about those friends or family. The work just kind of gets in the way. You know that friend that you'd love to get time with, but you haven't seen them in 6 months? Now's the time to put it on the calendar. You know that barbecue you've been thinking about planning for friends? You better get it on the calendar now before people are out of town and that summer can disappear. So again, we talked about space, replenishment, relational time. The questions around relational time: what friends and family do you need to reconnect with? What friends or family do you need to reconnect with? Maybe your family's in other places, and this is your last chance to get them to hop on a plane to come see you. Maybe you have a friend that you think, man, we just need to steal away for a day and we need to go on a hike, or we need to get away and go to the park with our kids together for several hours. Who are those people? And secondly, how will you capture family time? How will you make sure that you capture family time? So you're not just sitting on devices all summer, or you're not just your kids are at home while you're at work and you're feeling badly about that. Make sure that you put those times on the calendar ahead of time so nothing can get in the way. Here's our fourth area. Fourth area is growth. Growth, the areas that will challenge you personally and professionally. Here's what I found. Growth can be the one that slips through the cracks because we often think, oh, I need to make sure I have time to rest and space to think about what I don't normally do, and maybe just read on the back porch, and maybe just have a drink or hang out with friends or go get ice cream, that space piece. Now, secondly, it's pretty easy to think about replenishment in the summer. And I find leaders tend to think, yeah, I need to go do some activities I love. Family, kids are out of school. It's easy to think about. The one that we tend to forget as leaders is growth. Summer can be an amazing time to grow in those areas that personally or professionally you need to grow in. Now, I'm not just talking about the book that you're going to pull out while you're on the beach, but maybe there's a course that you want to take. Maybe there's something you really want to learn about. Maybe there's a person that you'd like to pursue and ask them how they turn their side hustle into an actual career. And summer can be an amazing time to do that. Sometimes people are more busy in the summer. Sometimes people are less busy. But friends, don't forget about your growth. Maybe you're taking a long road trip and you have hours and hours to pop in that next book on Audible. Or maybe your growth happens through people, and this is your chance to be able to get coaching. And you say, I think I'm too busy during the year, but maybe I'm going to get 3 or 6 months of leadership coaching, and I'm going to kick it off in June. This can be an amazing time to create some personal momentum. A lot of times leaders are sleeping on their own growth during this time. This could be a great time for you to take a couple hours here, a couple hours there, a half day. Maybe work is less demanding in terms of your outputs. So then you think about your inputs of how do I actually grow during this time. So a couple of questions for you here. What do you need to learn? What do you need to learn personally or professionally? Maybe it's time to pick up a parenting book. Maybe it's time for you and your wife to go to therapy and to say, yeah, we need to work on our marriage. There's nothing really wrong. We just want to have the best marriage we possibly can. Summer can be a great time because you got a little bit more space for that. And last, who will you learn from? Who will you learn from this summer? What am I going to learn? Who do I need to learn from this summer? Again, as we think about time this summer, I want to remind you, time goes by so quickly, especially when we don't plan for it. Summer memories for me were such good memories. My parents were so intentional about thinking about our vacation, and we would take our little pop-up camper to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we would go camping. And friends, it was not a very expensive trip, but I have so many good memories of times with my family there and just building that in so intentionally. Also, them showing up at my games when I was a kid and just making fun times out of times that could have been regular, normal, boring kind of stuff. And I think about how intentional my mom was. She was a teacher. And so she had more time and space. And so she utilized that not only to pour into us, but just to have a little bit more freedom in her own life. I don't know how taxing your job has been this last year. I don't know how overwhelmed you feel. I don't know how tired you feel right now, but now is the time in May to plan ahead for June and July. So many of the magical months that you have in your own life, your kids have. You have this opportunity in this space, friends. Time is precious. We want you to maximize this summer and those 4 key areas and the questions that come along with them. We believe this is a great pathway to do it. Last of all, don't try to do all the things. Don't try to do all the things. You can't do all the things. You shouldn't do all the things. In fact, if you try, you will simply be stuck in summer overwhelm. We want the opposite for you. We want deep times where you're journaling and reconnecting with God. We want you to have laughs with your kids and your kids to feel like you were very present to them. We want you to have that space to pick up the book that you've wanted to. We want you to prepare the food that you've been thinking about. Go on that trip that you've wanted. The question is this: when the school year starts, when September hits, are you going to look back and say, I have maximized the summer for everything that it could possibly be, from the memories to the space to the replenishment to the growth cycle in my own life? Leaders, we're always growing. But let's remember the moment, this time, this space, this one life we've been given is so precious. Don't forget it, friends.